Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Mitch Taco Bell. I'm your host for Tall Tales with Taco. Listen, 100 shows. Tonight marks 100 shows of Tall Tales with Taco, and it has just been an incredible experience. I can't thank all of my guests over the last 2 years who have taken their time, valuable time, to come join us and just talk about whatever. Usually pretty good stuff. But tonight, I wanted to circle back, as Jin Saki would always say, circle back. But I want to go back to the beginning. And I have a relationship with an actor named Scott Gibson, who played Captain Haldane in my favorite show, The Pacific. Now, I love Band of Brothers, but god dang, man, I'm a Marine. So you got to love this Pacific. That TV show just took the Marine Corps to a whole new level. And we actually just experienced VJ Day yesterday, August 15th. So if your kids don't know what VJ Day is, let them know. This was the end of hostilities with Japan, probably the worst battles that we ever had back in the day. And tonight, to celebrate with me, I've got Scott, because our very first show was done via Facebook Live, and it was horrendous. It was a disaster. I'll admit it. And I'm thank God every night that show is buried somewhere on Facebook that nobody will ever see. But we also, he called up a couple of his buddies from the Pacific, and we have Jon Seda and we have Josh Bitton. And without leaving out the Grand Master, we also have Freddie Joe Farnsworth with us tonight. And if you guys haven't met Freddie, you're about to have a lot of fun, because in my book, he's the honey badger, because honey badger just don't give a shit. And without further ado, here we go. Freddie, John, Josh.
How
are you guys doing, man?
Good. Well, it's like an LGBTQ convention. It's amazing.
I was going to say, my day always gets worse when I got to look at that bulldog mug of Freddie Joe's. That's what happens to me right now.
Ugly.
What's up there, cowboy?
Era.
How you boys doing? Like Johnny Seda coming to us from Melbourne, Australia. That's what I'm talking about.
I figured, you know what? I figured I'd make it authentic and come from the Yangs out here.
Oh yeah. How's the flies?
Yeah, if you guys don't know, John is filming a TV show called La Brea. It's on Wednesday nights. You got to watch it. It's at your DVR if you're out and about.
Tuesday nights.
Oh, is it? I've got it on Wednesday here.
Oh, well, whatever night it's on. Check it out, please.
It's Tuesday in Australia.
Right.
That's right.
Hey, yeah, I didn't want to ruin the show, but it's kind of like Lost. You guys all died, and these are just memories you're having before you fade off. I'm just
that sums it up.
It's a great show, man. I really love it. But you know what? Tonight is my 100th anniversary, and as I was talking to you all before, you each and every one of you played a Marine. And the way that I met Scott is good friends with RV Bergen. Did you guys ever get a chance to meet him?
Yes. We met RV in Australia first, and then we met him again at the premiere as a real gentleman. Yeah.
RV lived in Lancaster, which is right down the road from us. And so when he would come over to do his book signing at the gun show, it was too far for him to drive. So he would come over and spend the night. You know, it's like having grandpa hang out with you. Awesome guy. Well, he always would say, you know, Colonel, when I die, I want you to give my eulogy. I'm like, yeah, that's a long time, RV. Thanks. Well, sure enough, when he passed, his daughter called me up and tearly's like, hey, Daddy always said that when he died, you were going to give his eulogy. And I'm like, how do you give a eulogy for a guy whose entire career is on your hit TV show? You know, but Scotty walked up to me after the service and he goes, hey, Scott Gibson, I just want to say great job. I really thought you did a good job. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, hey, man, did we serve together? We're East Coast, West Coast, Okinawa, the war? Where were we? And he goes, oh, no, I played Captain Haldane. I played his commanding officer in the TV show, which, fellas, that blew me away because, you know, it's one thing to play somebody on TV, and it's another thing to actually take the time out of your day and to come see this great guy off to guarding the gates of heaven, you know? So a lot of Scott, I can't say this enough. I have a lot of heart for you, man. You did a great job, and I love you, brother. So this has been fantastic. And Freddie Joe,
Yes.
I think it all goes to a lot of what all you guys did to make these the Marines that they are.
Yeah.
I just want to say real quick.
Is there a question in there?
Well, I want to say before Scott Gibson gets to bask in the globe, what a great man he is. Jon Seda has also gone to the Basilone parade in Raritan. I mean, what'd you do for 10 years at least? Every year. Yeah, you know, Scott really likes to get the shine on and be good.
Dude, why are you guys picking on me so early? You know what I'm saying? Why are you picking on me so early?
Because we can.
That's because he has more time to do radio and podcasts.
That's right.
Oh man!
You know those Canadians, their work is limited.
This is Scott's 100th podcast.
Oh, you guys are harsh, man.
You guys want to pick on the captain? I'm okay with it. I'm okay.
At least you're not in blackface like the rest of you Canadians.
Oh.
Edit.
Yeah, I gotta edit that out. All right. I want to go back and ask
Don't worry,
you guys.
we're doing it live.
Live.
So what's up, Taco? What do you got?
So my question: how was the getting picked for this series? Did they kind of like Band of Brothers? They just hired 100 dudes and then they started fitting pieces in the puzzle. How'd you guys do this?
I mean, I know for me, my first audition for this show was in December of 2006, and from what I understand, and John and Scott will have their most of the guys I met had either auditioned for Lecky, Sledge, or Basilone, and my first audition was for Lecky, and then I didn't hear a peep for 4 months. I think it was April, and I got a call telling me I had a call back for JP Morgan, and I was so confused because I hadn't read any of the scripts. I thought it was it sounded like a bank commercial, like a JP Morgan bank. And I called my representative and I said, I didn't audition for a bank commercial, and she said, no, it's JP Morgan in the Pacific. And I kind of lost my mind. And so that was my second audition. Then I had a third one the next day. Then I had a fourth one about a month and a half later. So the whole process was about 5 months long. And every time it just got more and more exciting, and then also more and more terrifying because I felt so close. In my entire career, I'd never auditioned for something that I was so excited about, meant so much to me just on the page. You know? Yeah. How about you, John? I mean,
yeah, man. I mean, it was pretty amazing. You know, when I first got the script, I remember feeling like, this is. I mean, just of course, you know about Band of Brothers, and it's Steven Spielberg, it's Tom Hanks. You know already that this
and
is
Freddie Joe
and Freddie Joe.
Right.
So it's gonna be something special right from the start. So it's like it's just like being a stormtrooper in Star Wars. I just wanted to be a part of it. And when I got the script and I was told to look at the role of Basilone, I felt like I was meant to play him. I felt like I felt it in my heart like I was meant to play him. And like Josh is saying, I went through the audition process, and eventually we had this big screen test after screen test, and it came to a climax where we were in the room with Tom Hanks, Spielberg, all the big decision makers, and I remember I went in and I don't think any actor ever feels like they nailed it or hit a home run, but I felt like I did a good job. I didn't feel like I sucked. I felt like I did at least a good enough job that they'd like me for something. So I don't know how much time went afterwards. I didn't hear anything, and eventually I heard that they hired someone else for the role of Basilone, and it wasn't going to go my way. And I was, at the time I was a little shocked because I really felt like I was meant to play him. But I said, well, at least I was in a room with these heavy hitters, and I didn't suck, and maybe they'll hire me for something else down the road. And shortly after, I got a call from one of the producers saying there's this role of Basilone's best friend that they'd like to offer to me and have me come out if I was still interested. And I was, like I said before, like a stormtrooper in Star Wars, I just wanted to be a part of it. So I said, heck yeah, I'll come out there. I'll play whatever role you want, even if it's one scene. I'll come out and do the best I can for one scene. And long story short, got out there, did the boot camp. And the first day of boot camp, I heard there was going to be a change in regards to the Basilone character. And I was approached. I'll just keep it short. I was approached with being given the role of Basilone.
But had you already studied all the lines for playing Morgan?
Oh yeah. I was.
No, it wasn't Morgan. It was Rodriguez. I was still.
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez. The role that John Bernthal ended up playing. That's the role I flew out there for.
That's funny. So you're sitting there rehearsing. You could tell him, no, man, that's not the line. Freddie Joe,
well,
how did it go?
Working on lines wasn't the thing. It was really trying to let this maniac with his Wyoming cowboy shirt on teach us how to be Marines. That was more important than dialogue or anything. That kind of came after boot, at least for us, John and I. Say.
Yeah, you didn't show up. You didn't show up at boot camp going, excuse me, I'm a lieutenant on the show. I'm not supposed to go through all this stuff. I'm supposed to be leading people or blah blah blah. Man, they'd be right in your face. Hey, shut up! You're not even being out here. We don't care who you are.
Did you guys see Freddie before boot camp? Because, like, the fucking day before, but the day before boot camp, and I'm like, in the town there, and I'm just walking along the road coming back from town, and this dude is jogging on the path beside me, and I had no idea who he was, but he had the cut, the cut and everything, and he just looked at me and he grinned, and I'm going, who the fuck is that? This was before
I know that on
the next day, and I'm going, what? And the next thing I heard from seeing him was, "You going back to your bitch tent, bitch." The next day,
you've got to trademark that.
He should, but they all knew who we were, and I didn't. I'm like, hey. Some nice guy, and I'm smiling like, hey, Canadian, and he's grinning at me going, I'm gonna ride you, man. I'm gonna kick your ass for 3 days.
And did he? And did he? Freddie?
Did I?
Yeah.
Did I kick his ass?
Heck.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
all of ours.
Oh, he was in the fluffer tent. He was horrible. Horrible. He had to eat everybody else had it worse than he did. Even friggin' Richard, Richard Puller had it easy. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. That was his nickname in boot camp. Colonel Puller had it harder. He had it a lot harder than he did in boot camp. I knew when we did Band of Brothers. And a lot of time, Taco was just out at the symposium, so he got to hear the greatest casting director of all time tell her story on how he brought the Band of Brothers cast together. So that's why he's kind of got a little head start on you guys, like, oh, how long did it take, and so on and so forth. And I kind of had, because I had gotten all the information from you guys, and plus I had a little bit more experience. So I knew, okay, let me research who these weirdos are. And and I researched your career. Thank God for IMDb, because when we did Band of Brothers, really didn't have that shit. But when you guys came around, all that stuff was there. So I kind of knew. See, I knew when we did Band of Brothers, there was a lot of actors that had been around for a long ass time, and they had struggled and busted their ass. you had Schwim Shady, David Schwimmer, that was the most money making out of all of them. And then,
Sure.
You had Donnie Wahlberg and all these guys. And I called it the Law and Order cast. Most of the cast in Band of Brothers, they had done multiple episodes of Law and Order probably to feed their families. And so I always looked at it like these are a bunch of men playing boys. They were just playing young boys that were going to combat. These guys have been through the struggle. Michael Cutlets and Kirkasevis and the list can go on and on. They had a lot of day playing and a lot of good movies playing. Number 8 on the cast or number 12 or in Scott's case, number 49 on the cast list number. They had a lot of that. But when we got the Pacific, I did a lot of research. And, other than, a few big parts and, playing, Seda had some good parts. And, Barenthal was just really starting to kick it. Which, and then of course the Dinosaur Boy. We'll talk about it. But these guys didn't. I will later. You guys. There wasn't. You guys were boys playing boys. A lot of you were at the start of your career. Not that you hadn't gone through the struggles of years. And Josh is from what I've been told, an amazing teacher. Runs an amazing theatrical school, and and he's just an amazing person in his own right mind. But most of the guys out there, the guy playing Sid Phillips and all the other ones are Australian guys and stuff. They didn't have a ton of fucking struggle behind them. So I knew it was going to have to, except for, every guy in front of you right now knows what the struggle. I'm not talking about them, but they know who I'm talking about. There's a lot of the cast that didn't understand the struggle of, they didn't understand what they were just been handed. They didn't understand they were just handed a life-changing moment. So I knew that boot camp was going to be tough. It was, and I didn't mean tough as in, oh, they're so hard, because I just beat the shit out of all of them. I don't give a shit about any of them. But
Honey Badger.
What's
honey
that?
Badgers don't. I'm start calling you Honey Badger. You're like that Honey Badger, man. Honey Badgers don't give a shit.
Yeah. Well, I just knew. Here's a cool thing. When you do these, and I'm going to go a little bit different than these guys, but when you do these things, you almost instantly know who's going to make it in life and who's not. The actor Josh, even John, John, Mr. PTSD, Jon Seda, Scott, they're all on here. John Barenthal, they suck up every ounce of anything you can give them. And they always do it with a smile. They always do it. You can eat, even though they don't know I don't hear them. They're behind their back going, holy shit, did you hear that shit? What the fuck? That's awesome. I'm going to write that down. And they're not just thinking about this movie. They're thinking about 10 movies from now. I'm going to put that in a script I'm writing in. And so this one was a little bit different than Band of Brothers. Damian Lewis in Band of Brothers was a very accomplished actor before he got the part, and it just keeps going down. Ron Livingston, sure. They were all actors that had been in the game a long time, so they fucking knew. Oh, excuse my language. I know, Taco, you at church this morning, but they all knew what they are just being handed. You know what I mean? They knew I'm going to give this 1,000%. And when this has
to have already gone through the acting world on what you were handed, right? I mean, so when John and Josh and Scott are sitting there with Meg and Tom Hanks, it's like
you can't hang out with actors for a few days and understand the mindset of an actor. I'm gonna tell you, these guys will tell you they knew because they've been through the struggles. They've been to, oh fuck, I'm the next big fucking thing, to shit, nobody's called me for 8 months. They've been through that. They understand what it's like and stuff. There was quite a few actors on Pacific that hadn't felt that, didn't understand the gift horse. So they were a little bit more, standoffish, didn't understand. So when Dale said, hey, this one's kind of yours. Bring in the guys you want. I said, oh, I'm going to bring in the legit dudes. You know, I'm going to bring in Robert Garcia, Mr. Probar, the guy in the thing right there, Bruce Whitfield, you know, 22 years in the Marines, like a bazillion combat actions, you know, to train the mortarmen. You know, Sean Bunch, all craziness of him. You know, I brought these guys in. I said, you know, let's give them legit training. And they got it. They got pretty legit training.
Listen, it was really hard.
I
was at college. Go ahead, Scott. What are you going to say?
I auditioned for band. I got the role. I got the script for Spears that everyone got.
Oh, we know.
Back at that time, and I was trying to get my tape to Tom Hanks, et cetera, and so forth, because I just wanted the older guys in the Pacific. When the Pacific audition came along, and I got that breakdown from my agent, I thought I actually was like, I'm never gonna get this. I'm not gonna do this audition. And then the next day, I went, you know what? If this is gonna be it, like I'm like, this is what I want to do. And I went in, it was in Toronto, and just put it on tape. And I went in and with the casting people there, and they're like, do you want to do this again? Do you want to do that scene again? I'm like, no, it's done. I laid it down. It went to Meg. It was Meg Lieberman who flagged it and told Tony, is like, you got to look at this guy for Haldane. And nothing else ever happened until they flew me to LA to just audition for Tony. But because I hadn't been doing anything in so long or so many months, I told my agent, I go, look, if I turn this down, if I don't go, will they still offer me the role? She's like, she didn't want to ask. So I went. Meg's there, Tony, talk, do the scenes in his office, and leave. Okay, thanks very much, Scott. That's great. And then Tony came out. He just popped out the door. He goes, hang on a minute. So I shut the door, and I'm going, what? Okay. Sit down, and it's like, seemed like a long time. Probably wasn't very much. And Tony came out the door, and he had a stack of manila envelopes, and he goes, here's some reading for the flight home. I think you're going to need this.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
So when you cut to the end of it, we'd finished filming and everything, and I said to Tony, because he told me about, like, they wanted Joshua Jackson to play Haldane, like he was potential, and then he was greenlit for some movie, and they cut out of it. And then Tony said to Meg, he's like, that guy from Canada. Now maybe they would have hired him, I don't know, but I'd said to him, I go, look, I didn't want to come in. I just didn't want to come in the room and lose it if you thought I was the right guy. And I said, if I didn't come in, would you have hired me? And he's like, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, it was beautiful. He's like, yeah. He goes, you were just the guy. And that's it with all of this casting, and the beauty of the casting and the people and everything. It's just, you're just the right person for it. And when you hit it, and then certainly with band, with the Pacific, there's no other job like that you'll ever do with like the family, the extended family, the people that are involved in it. It's just
as props to Meg Lieberman, I can say, and Freddie Joe
Absolutely.
knows this story, is that I had auditioned because I was really a sort of struggling actor. You know, the Pacific was the thing that opened the door for me really working. 4 years or 3 years earlier, Meg was casting a mini series that it was based on the same prisoner. The film The Great Raid that Freddie Joe you worked on, right?
Oh,
I acted in it, bro.
Yes, and there was
I got your part. No,
That's right. That's right. You did. There was a mini series that was greenlit for ABC at the time. That was like 4 or 5 episodes about that. And I remember when I came in 3 years later for Meg, because I got a call back. It looked like I was going to get it. Project fell apart because they made the movie. I walked in, auditioned for the Pacific, and Meg went, I want you to know that was your part and you were cast. And I want you to know you're here today because of what you did 3 years earlier. And to me was pretty stunning. you know, because when you're in this, when you do this and you're not famous and you're working at working, you don't know what people are saying, you know?
Yeah,
and the fact that like you go in, you show up, you do your thing, kind of like what, you know, Freddie Joe and that cadre of Marines taught us. It was like, you show up, you do your job, you know, you don't know what the results will be, but if you're doing your job, they're going to be better than if you didn't, you know?
Let the pieces fall.
That's exactly right. You know, so the whole process was just a huge, huge honor.
Well, now, none of you had somebody living like a lot of the Band of Brothers had somebody alive they could go talk to. You all had history just to read on a book. How was that gathering all that up and absorbing that? Were you able to contact the Basilone family and go visit them in Jersey, or the Morgan family? I know Scott did his stuff with the university.
Morgan was a mystery. There was a story that originally was going to be in the Crawl of the Pacific at the end. The rumor was that JP was maybe the best poker player in the Marines, and that he was rumored to have won $25,000 in the years he was enlisted, which at the time would be like $200,000.
Right.
And he sent it all home to his wife Katie. And when he got home from the war, there was a Dear John letter, and she had taken all the money.
Oh, sounds like my ex-wife Katie.
That's right. And
my first wife did this shit.
And they said that JP took his 45 and hopped on his motorcycle and went to hunt them down and kill them, and got hit by a truck while chasing them down. And that was the story. And then there was someone else was brought in late in the game, did some research that felt like he was there to just refute things. And I think Freddie Joe knows what I'm talking about. And they found one Marine who said, "Oh, I thought JP might have retired to Boca Raton." And then that was gone from the Crawl, which, to be really honest, still breaks my heart. And I could never find any information on his family. I went to the World War II Memorial in DC and went to the database and tried to look him up. And it's just like, we saw photos of him. John and I together would stare at that picture of Basilone and Morgan, you know, in Guadalcanal, and just like stare at it and talk about it. Couldn't find anything else. So I had the words that Bruce wrote and the books they sent us. And, you know, and I also had John, to be honest, because John had some real insights to Basilone, and I knew that guy was my best friend, and we became super close while doing this.
Right there, two studs, man.
Look at that.
Wasn't that? Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't that the first scene we shot?
Yes.
You and I, Josh.
Second. That day. That was our first real day. We did that one day. We were marched in episode 1, but we did that. We stole the cherries. Right when we raided the army.
Right.
The morning, and then the two of us walked out to the beach alone with the crew and Captain Di and Freddie Joe, and we shot that scene. And it was, I get chills thinking about that day, man.
Yeah, man.
Like
this guy too, right? It was beautiful.
And this guy, Jon Seda, was an absolute, just open-hearted warrior that day. It was.
Had you guys met before? Because I worked with John twice in Toronto before the Pacific.
I'll tell you how we met.
A Bill Pullman movie, and then that TV show you're doing. You were my fucking lawyer,
and a Russian military recruitment video. You know how you Canadians are. Sell out.
No, Josh, we hadn't met before.
No.
But that was just so what, like to. It's like show up there in Port Douglas and like, hey, and you're like, holy fuck! Like it was.
What really happened was
on our way to boot camp.
Yeah, they brought John into boot camp, right? And there was originally, it was Basilone, Morgan, and then a private, and that private would die, and which was based on someone who was in Basilone's platoon. Then they changed it to Rodriguez, who was based on another person, and they brought John in. So John and I like shook hands the day before boot camp, and we sat next to each other on the bus ride where I had to pee for 4 hours.
Or he had to pee. He had to pee like a racehorse.
And we're driving.
He's sitting next to me shaking.
and then
where's your canteen cup, man?
I was trying to find my helmet in my ditty bag. I thought I could just pee in it and just shove it out the window, but I couldn't do it. And I knew I would have a nickname like pissy head for the rest of my life. So I just wasn't.
I was trying to make him feel. I was trying to make him feel good. I'm like looking out the window, going, "Hey, man, I think we're almost there. It's like we're really close." Meanwhile, I had no idea where we were going.
We're in
I
another
think we had
country.
like 500 miles.
He was saying, "Hey, look at that waterfall! It's so
Yeah.
beautiful."
Warm,
He wasn't trying to
running
make you
water.
look, oh my
But
God,
there
it's
was-
sprinkling outside. Look at that.
There was one really. I think John will agree with this. There was one real moment where John and I went from being two guys who just met to like 100% being brothers. They called him up to the CP. They told him he was Basilone. He would be lined up to my left because it was Basilone, Morgan, and Rodriguez, and that's how we did in our platoon. And they moved him from my left to my right. And he looked at me with almost guilt because he knew that the original actor I had worked with and rehearsed with before we'd flown out, and also a little bit of like, what the F just happened? And I looked at him, we made eye contact, and I just mouthed to him, "I got your back." And he nodded to me. And at that moment, it was like magic, man. We did everything together, and we were inseparable for the entire time we shot.
I was going to ask that. Did you all separate by platoons? You guys in whatever episodes here, only you guys were together. K3-5 guys over here. Did you guys do that?
No.
We were with
Yeah,
K3-5.
we were machine gun platoon.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we had
all the
Lecky.
machine gunners were together.
Yeah.
Right.
And
And
so
then
we
you
had
had-
Lecky with us. We had Runner. We had Hoosier. Look at that machine gun blasting away. My favorite photo I've ever been involved in. And look at John.
Water cool, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, how do those things? How are the blanks on those things? I mean,
They're full blast, full blinks.
Full blast. Yeah.
nice.
It's that big
Now,
Bertha.
did you guys have
That's
to clean?
Big Bertha.
Bertha, yeah.
Yeah.
That one? That you called that Bertha?
We
Big
did.
Bertha.
Doing those attacks like up in those hills there in Port Douglas with no lights on, and going up into this hill with like you can't see it's pitch black in the fucking jungle, and then all of a sudden like Freddie Joe and Sergeant Bunch open up on you with a 30 in a foxhole, and then everyone else is just lighting it up. It just like, man.
Well,
there
I
was
didn't
a
want
time-
you guys.
Scott.
I didn't want you guys to feel, left out. So
Yeah,
This- I'm
that's
pulling it
air
out of the
cooled.
tank,
That's the
man.
air cooled. That's the air
damn,
cooled.
Yeah,
this
that's
is
the
30
air
pounds.
cool.
You guys are humping this stuff around.
That's one.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the one made Basilone famous.
no, it was the water cool that make it. What didn't he burn his hands on the water?
No. The water cool was he learned about. This is how the story goes.
Okay.
He learned because of moving the water cool and burning himself so bad.
Okay.
He had third degree burns on his forearms,
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
Put that bail.
He invented a thing we
Oh,
call right now called a carrying handle. And that's when, and we had to invent some shit like that. And I was out there with coat hangers and shit, inventing shit for this weirdo. But yeah, and that's when, and it's true. I've read a lot of books and a lot of history where Basilone just all of a sudden one day walked on and said, "So stop," and just pushed this thing on and picked it up so he wouldn't burn himself because of the water cool.
Right, but
But
the water cooled on Guadalcanal is what he picked up and burned himself.
Yes,
and
that's
then
what I
on
mean. That-
Equo
he-
is where he put that.
That's
bail
where he
on.
learned this is bullshit. I ain't doing that no more.
Yeah, no kidding.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you guys look.
You know, it's
I tell
funny.
you what, you guys look like a fire team there, man.
You
We
see
had
that
this
whole
one
area
on-
there? You see
Yeah.
you see that whole area in the picture there?
Yeah.
I'm filming in those areas again right now, and I got to tell you, man,
Wow.
it's the weirdest thing. I'll stand on set, and I'm looking around, and I feel like a guy having PTSD, man. I'm just like, I see all the stuff that we did, and I'm looking in the jungle there. I'm going, man, this is where we're going out on missions and scouting, and this is where we had that campfire. This is where we had our 2-man hooches set up, and this
But
is
so
where what's his name almost shot Garcia that day.
Hoosier, Jacob
Or he
Pitt.
shot him. Was it Hoosier?
What? What happened?
So every night we would be on patrol or on guard duty or fire guard. And as we got deeper into boot camp, there was a Japanese boot camp that would attack us. So they started giving us passwords. And as the Marines used in World War II, the password always started with an L. And I'm pretty sure that day the password was Lilliputian. and Sergeant Garcia
Easy to remember.
and said to us, if I remember, Garcia said to us, you won't let anybody come through this fucking camp without giving you the motherfucking password. So he came to the bush, and Jacob said password, and he went he said something like "fuck you," and he goes password. He didn't say it. And Jacob just opened up with a blank, and I mean he was way too close, like bow bow bow, and he hit the gun. He's like, "Not at me!" And we were
He's just
so
standing
lucky
there
no
like,
one died.
what the fuck?
That happened. The same thing with me and Stokey. It was Clark Gable, and this kid in the foxhole was like, Clark and Stokey's were inside the perimeter, and Stokey goes, "Don't say anything," and I'm standing with him, and you can't see this kid because it's so fucking dark. And meanwhile, like Freddie Joe and Bunch are like sliding through, like assassinating people out of the fucking sugar fields, and he's like, Clark. Muzzle flash, and he fucking shot me and Stokey like 10 feet away.
What with the M1? What were they using?
With an M1, yeah, with an M1.
With the M1s, yeah. I will say that getting assassinated by Freddie Joe sounds like the absolute worst way to die. If that's the last fate I see before I die, I've done something really horribly wrong.
Okay, so did he not give you guys any kind of like derogatory nickname? Because I was Dick Licker for like 4 days.
I mean, look, I watched.
I was
Freddie Joe
Lieutenant Dick Licker.
I saw him say some very, very funny shit. I just happened to get.
It was all politically correct, by the way.
Of course it was.
I'm sure.
Of course, 100%.
Yeah.
But I escaped getting a nickname, and I think John did too, because we
So
knew,
yeah.
we
But
kept
when
our
I-
heads down.
When we graduated, well, yeah, but they didn't talk to me for like no one talked to me for like 4 days because I
That's
couldn't.
not
I wasn't with the other guys or anything like that. And then he was like, "Hey, Dick Licker, get over here and fucking learn. Dick Licker, get on the 30 cal, fucking learn something." He was like that. He was like that the whole time. And then you graduate and you get, Stokey comes by and you get the Eagle Globe and Anchor, and Freddie Joe just like fucking Captain Haldane. And I
Scotty got his first tear in his eye. Goddamn right.
He respects me.
No, if I took all you guys and put you over here with that 30, can you break it down and clean it for me?
Oh man.
You know,
You guys
been a
realize
while,
I
man.
guarantee you give them 10 minutes to work with them, they tear that son of a bitch apart and put it back
Yeah.
together in no time.
I mean,
I
I'm
guarantee
pretty
it.
sure we could load it and get firing down rage like this. Breaking it
Yeah.
down would take me a couple minutes to remember, but we got.
Mhm.
I mean, John could take it apart blindfolded. I think. Didn't you get to the point where you could take?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
you
I
know
don't
who
know if
else
I'd be able to
could?
do that now. But
James Badgedale got really good about, but
Yeah.
that's because remember the two teams, Seda on one side, Badge on the other.
That's right.
Remember, because they were having a little problem at the first few days. We won't go into who was teaching them at that time. And I came in and I said, let's make this into a competition because they're very competitive. I mean,
Yep.
I beat all their asses in basketball, but
You and I together. You and I together
I
beat
know.
the ass in basketball. That's what happened.
but anyway, I said, these guys are very competitive. And even the guys you wouldn't, James Badgedale, everybody thinks of him as a thespian from the finest theater. No, he will get down and fuck some shit up right now.
He was a
just
minor
'cause-
league. He was a minor league hockey player. Don't forget.
Yeah, he does not like to
go.
lose. None of them like to lose. And I set up this competition, setting up gun, breaking gun team down, setting the gun team back up on target, breaking it back down, go back, tag the next guy. And it was just like first 3 days, they didn't know shit. By the fourth day, because of this competition, that I said, not that I'm great or anything, it was just the Marine Corps fucking thing we do. And I set this thing up. These guys, people were falling on their face, man. They didn't give a shit. They were going to win no matter what. And once the first competition was over, I would look over there and Seda and Josh and Lecky, sorry about the real names, Badge and everybody. They were over there like we're gonna fuck this up tomorrow. And let me tell you what, by the third day of that, they
Listen,
compete against any gun team in the world, man.
Those of us on the heavy, even though we knew because it was so much heavier, right?
Oh,
but
yeah.
we would race with them. So they were doing the air cooled in 11 seconds, and I think John, you and I got that water cooled down in something like 15 seconds, which 100 pounds of it was not bad. We just wanted.
We crushed them.
Did those things jam a lot on you?
We had way more weight, and we crushed them.
That's right. They jammed. We learned how to. There were times when we were shooting. I mean, obviously, it was the famous time at Basilone on jamming it, but we would, in the middle of combat scenes, just rack, go in, pop a shell out, and keep going because that's what they trained us to do. You know.
And it's just great.
You raise your hand, go, save round.
I tell you what. To me, and these guys know it. To me, that makes a scene. I know it pisses the directors off. I got to go to the side and have a little chit chat. But I'm like, that was friggin' perfect. To me, that's real because we've been in the shit, and the shit. Half your shit don't work right off the bat, and then people are fixing it, doing their stuff, changing magazines, and then you start communicating. In the scenes when that happened, man, and these guys just boom. And I remember me holding back the,
rack.
Yeah, that's it, man. Well, for us, them it's a little more difficult. But I remember holding the armors off, going, no, white. All these guys are in the scene, and man, that shit looks good on camera.
There's just no other role I think that you can do that you want to like. We just all wanted to do it so right and honor the guys that played. I was over in Normandy for D-Day events, invited by Tim Gray, Sheila Gray, the World War II Foundation. John has done stuff for them, and they were fantastic hosts. And we went to all these events around D-Day. And people there, because the people that lived there were liberated, just are so thankful and honored. And, you have all these veterans that you're there with and taking these pictures with, and you're going, I'm like so not worthy. But people equate what you did in terms of the series, to like you're the living representation of what they, a lot of these people see for that point in history. And I went to Juno Beach, and my grandfather was guarding the channel in a destroyer at the time on D-Day, and I'm just kicking around there and did a tour with Eric LeBoeuf. He's a great guide there and Canadian guy, and we're at this gun emplacement on Juno Beach, and he came over to me, just in kind of a moment. He said, "Someone wants to meet you," and I thought it was someone that from the series or anything like that, and it was just someone that lived there with his wife and walking down the promenade, and he saw I had the Canadian shirt, and he wanted to meet me, and he had, asked, "Do you speak French?" And I'm like, "Well, I understand more French than I speak, so speak to me in French." And he asked about my family and where they were from. It had nothing to do with the Pacific, but just because I was Canadian, he just wanted to come over and shake my hand. That's because the Canadians liberated Juno Beach. So all those events in Normandy, and just seeing that, and there was a guy after the film festival. He had a tattoo of the Pacific, like he had Joe Mazzello tattooed on his arm.
Poor guy.
I'm thinking, yeah, you should have my head tattooed on there.
But you have a dinosaur behind it.
It's just so amazing to go somewhere like that and to experience that, and to experience people that are just like, we were liberated. They have so much reverence, and obviously it's very hard to do anything with the Pacific, but I just feel like it's just the same thing. The two series were two series, right? They were two film shows. So a lot of people are going to get like, okay, I prefer band or like band or whatever, but you can't equate what both people did in that war.
I'll tell you, Scott. I'll tell you, and Taco was just at the Band of Brothers Symposium with me, And two of some of the biggest stars at the symposium was Sledge's son and Basilone's great niece, Jacqueline. When I announced, I was in the hotel, everybody was in there at Taco. I think you were there, you know, and they had us, you know, everybody was kind of separated. And I announced, like, to everybody, was like, hey, you know, Henry Sledge, Eugene's son, and Jacqueline Basilone. Everybody went out to meet. Everybody went out to meet. Even the Basilone fans. I mean, even the Band of Brothers fans went out to meet them. And there was nobody in the bar. Everybody was surrounded to them. So, I mean, it's hard because Band of Brothers came first. And I think I told all of you guys this. It's hard because Band of Brothers came first, and you will always be compared to them. But I will tell you this now, 22 years later, and now almost 15 years after the Pacific, times are changing. People now, because they've watched Band of Brothers so much and they're so enthralled with it. And Taco just met a lot of those people. They are enthralled with they know more about things I did than I did. You know what I mean?
People showing up in uniforms.
Yeah, but they have now slowly gone, and you know, I got carpal tunnel from signing autographs. I'm all jagged up. That's how crazy this place was. And I am nobody. But this place, almost everybody I met is like, I've got a whole new appreciation. I just started watching it again. And now that I've watched it a few times, wow. It was bigger. It was the explosions. And now, like, I feel more sorry for those than I did the people in. And I'm like, I feel sorry for anybody that gets bullet shot at them or exploded. And, you know, but the understanding of the Pacific is now getting and going to be even more. Just because, and I'm not saying that, it's just because Band of Brothers came first. You know, nobody likes the sequel, and everybody thought it was a sequel. And now even I listen to the fans and I listen to the people, they understand it wasn't a sequel. It was happening simultaneously, and it was the forgotten people for many times because, you know, and I explain this a lot about, you know, making movies. Well, why can't I make that movie? You know, how's it hard to make a movie about Korea? That's because it's a U.S. and Korea and China, and there's no money to be made. Nobody wants to take that adventure. Nobody wants to step on that. When you talk about the European theater, that whole war covered 90% of the world. The Pacific theater covered 10%. So
I just wanted to say, like, I went to Breakheart Manor twice. So the first time with the band actors and just amazing and understanding all of what happened there, and then the second time.
So you're selling out to the Pacific guys. I get it. All right, it's cool.
So Chris Langlois.
Hell yeah! I just hung out.
Wanted to go back and get a piece of one of the trees because this buddy of his makes these pencils out of wood, and he get that, and I went back. And there was the Dutch airborne, so they were half of them were assault and half airborne. And Chris Langlois, as we're walking in and these guys are doing their tour, Chris introduced Shifty, Peter Youngblood Hills, but because it's been 20 years, I guess this guy sort of looked and he had to look again a couple of times at Peter, and he's like, oh, okay. And then Chris goes, and this is Scott Gibson, who played Akak Haldane. And he just looked at me and goes, Haldane? No. Like, but to have that, I don't equate that. I don't equate that about me. It just there's just so much more about the Pacific that I think people really need to understand and appreciate. And if there's anything that we can do,
well, you guys, part of that made your series so great was the sets. And I'm going to show you a photo here. Does that bring back PTSD for you?
No, fucking airfield, man.
Look at that. That's actual shot from World War II.
Yeah.
No
way.
That's not our set?
No.
That looks exactly like our set.
Yeah, here's another shot. Here's a bunch of tanks driving down from the rear.
Is that Captain Dye up there? I'm a tank commander.
Here's the air cool guys firing away.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And then look in the background. You see the transports and stuff.
LCVs.
Yeah, I mean, you guys.
Both.
It's just amazing the equipment that you had on your show. Here is John Basilone firing the air cool. Got his 45 there. He was doing the demo on something that day, and then here's another shot of John blindfolded taking the 1919 apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just the effort that you guys put in, the equipment and the sets that they built, puts you there. I've got, I was at the Iwo Jima for the 50th anniversary. I have a poster back over on the wall there. You can see it. That was signed by every vet that was in attendance at the 50th.
Wow.
I've got some sand. As a matter of fact, if you guys have never been to Iwo Jima, I'll send you some sand because you deserve it. And the stuff that makes Marines and the traditions that make us Marines, we stand on the shoulders of those giants like John Basilone and J.P. Morgan.
Chesty Puller.
And Chesty Puller and Scott Gibson, Captain Haldane. Yeah, go ahead.
This is sand from Iwo Jima. My friend's dad served there, and we worked on a television show together. And he sent me some, and I keep it on my mantle, right next to my challenge coins that we got doing that. And then I've been lucky enough. I've spoken a couple times at a couple bases, and it is pretty humbling. It's really humbling to recognize, I was here in LA once having lunch, just alone, like reading a book, probably reading a script for some audition. The guy walked past me, double take, stop, and went, "Hey, you played Sergeant Morgan. I'm a fucking Marine. You guys did it right." And just shook my hand. And before I could even ask him his name, he was like, "I just wanted to thank you," and took off. He just wanted to say thank you. And it was, and they told us that. They said, guys will stop you for the rest of your life. And I have to say that is very, very true. It happens every now and again. And, look, the series were different. Band is about the real celebration of like that generation. I think the Pacific really looks at the horrors that the Pacific Theater took on those men. And so it's a darker look to me, and I think both are important, but I'm really honored to be there. You go.
With the old breed.
That book.
I mean, they went it alone, right? There was no greater ally force that was helping the U.S. on that side in the naval battles, in the island battles.
Well, the Aussies did
we
lose
had some Aussies
ships.
and some Kiwis.
Yeah, the Aussies lost some ships in Guadalcanal.
Yeah,
but they also stopped them at Kokoda. I mean, they're
not
but
the same
it was not.
But not the same as Europe. Not the same as Europe.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, it wasn't at all.
Right. And
just a taco.
Yeah.
They'd be probably more interested in that uniform on the dummy behind you.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Let them see that and give them PTSD.
There's the goodie.
Yeah, that was my uniform, bitches.
There's that 782 gear. Look at that. Trying to strap into that.
Hey, my mentor was James A. Michener. So when he came over to my house, James A. Michener was a Marine on Iwo Jima, not the writer. This is the Marine James A. Michener. Same spelling and everything. Okay. He took his 45 when he got back to the ship, and he wrapped it up in his uniform.
You all right? Oh, sorry.
And he gave, it's hard to see, but it says James A. Michener on the back. Kind of see that there. But he gave me his uniform. He gave me his 45. He gave me his sword and all of his papers from corresponding with officers. He got medically retired after chosen. But he gave me all his papers. The guys that he served with in World War II all went on to become commandants and stuff like that. So it's, to me, historically, Freddie Joe's uniform it means a lot to me that he gave that and trusted me to have that uniform. And that goes along with, I've got an M1 signed by 8 Medal of Honor recipients, R.V. Bergen and General Carey, who got the Silver Star as a second lieutenant at the Chosen. That's the M1's right right there.
Wow.
That all means a lot to me. Just it's powerful. We all stand on the shoulders of these giants, right?
I still have my dungarees. I mean, it's not the same as Freddie's, but I still have my dungarees and my cover and my boots and dog tags. That's all I wanted to keep.
Before the very first shot that I did in the tank trap in 5, and I had the shoulder holster and I had this rubber 45 in there, and I'm thinking about the scene and trying to fucking work it all out and everything like that. And Freddie Joe runs up and he takes the rubber one out, puts the fucking real one in my shoulder holster, and he slaps me on the shoulder and says, "I'll make you famous."
Yeah, nobody's bitched about that fake one, have they?
And then it's picked up. He was like, "No fucking way, I'm seeing that fake one." And like whatever. So, yeah, I mean, they're just all the so many people behind the scenes and everything. Like everyone was just so 100% into it. And we all say the same. I know the band guys say the same, but it just to have that training, to have the cadre, it just wouldn't have been the same.
There were 3 of us at Jacob Pitts' wedding just a month ago. Scott Gibson, myself, Dave Knobs. If Seda's in LA or I'm in New York when he's not shooting Australia, we see each other as much as possible. That's cool. We're family. We really are. These are my best friends in the business.
Well, I just got John hooked up with Dave Holland. He's a Marine, U.S. Marine that got out, married a local in Australia, and he became a cop down there. But his beat, part of his deal was going over to Guadalcanal as like TDY. And he gladly volunteers, but he is the subject matter expert and literally can walk you right to Basilone's hole, where you guys depicted in the movie, where he actually fought in the fields of fire. He has a guided tour of the whole 9 yards. So John's got his information. Josh, maybe you can make it out there as well. And
Freddie
that
Joe.
would be.
Don't be rude.
And Freddie Joe as well.
We got to film it. We got to all go out there. We all got to film it.
We got to film it.
Yeah.
I tell you what, that would be a hell of a trip right there.
Yeah, man.
I would make that trip. I would. I think
actually go to Guadalcanal, because you got the tour guide, and he's a policeman. So
hey, Taco, start getting the sponsors. American Airlines.
Yeah, man.
Fly us over there.
Qantas, where you at, Qantas?
Qantas.
I could get American just
We're doing it live.
Probably. Yeah. Well, John, I know you got to go to work, but I can't thank you enough. Do you have to take off?
Yeah. Hey, man, thank you so much.
Hey,
love
John.
Hey, love you, John.
Give love to Michelle. Toby Moore's wife is on the show with him. How about that?
I will.
Stone.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love you, man. I miss you.
Love to you, buddy.
Give my
miss
love
you too, guys.
Man.
All right, brother.
Love you guys.
Hey, John, thank you again for coming on, man. You made the 100th episode. All of you did. But thank you, sir, you get the award for coming the farthest away. Canada doesn't count.
Go! Oh. All right. I'll see you next time. Maybe
all right, man.
Do it live from Guadalcanal.
That would be cool. That would be cool. All right. See you, brother. You're right.
Love you, brother.
Hey, that actually is not a bad idea. What do you guys think?
Let's talk shit about him now.
I got to be honest. Jon Seda is shit talkable. That is one of the best dudes in the entire world.
I love him.
Except when he took a shit in my trailer.
No, that was good.
No, that's probably my favorite story. To be honest, that's what made me love him the most.
Yeah, took a dump, but he goes. I saw Hal Dane on the trailer, and he goes, I thought it'd be okay to shit in his trailer, so I'm honored. I'm honored that he just he looked at my trailer. He's like, I'm gonna take a dump in his trailer. That's a big deal, man.
But Taco, I would make that trip. I really would. I think that would be. Oh my God, yeah. I think that's hallowed ground.
Hey, Taco, you didn't talk about. Remember, you talked to me about your idea about the 15th anniversary.
Right. So
maybe you should bring that up and see who's interested.
Yes. So looking at the Band of Brothers guys doing their 20th deal, Scott had talked about the curator for a museum out in Honolulu wanted to do the Pacific out there. But I told him, I go, look, the availability of flights and trying to get out to Hawaii, it's expensive. You just get ripped off left and right for a weekend. So if you're going to have a symposium or get together, you got to try to make it somewhere central. And I'm thinking, you know, I'm selfish because I'm in Texas, but Arlington has just opened up the Medal of Honor Museum. And Chris Cassidy, who is the Navy SEAL, became an astronaut. He's now the president. And I sent him a text and he said, oh, dude, I would be so interested. Actually, I don't think he said dude. He goes, I would be very, very interested in this.
Tally-ho. Good on you,
very
mate.
Interested. And then, he's a cool Navy SEAL. And then Randy Stillinger, who does all the veterans initiatives for Americans, said, man, we could fly the actors in because it's easy. 2 hours from LA, 2 hours, 3 hours from JFK or LaGuardia. Yeah. Come into DFW, get everybody here. We've got Jacqueline Basilone and her family's here. So that's kind of local and have it at the museum, which would be a fundraiser for the museum. You guys get your attendance, speaker fees, stuff, but this would be a good fundraiser in a way that we could support this brand new Medal of Honor museum.
Say when. I mean, I definitely am in touch with most of the guys, and if we, obviously work and things like that make things tricky sometimes.
Sure,
but
sure.
I will say, like, we did one of these. We did a Zoom thing with Matt, right?
Oh, so, Matt and Leighton, yeah.
Matt and Leighton. Christmas kind of time.
And
yep.
John Bernthal wasn't able to be there, but he was kicking himself because he was working, and he
was texting me the whole time.
Texting me the whole time too, going, "You guys stay on another 40 minutes. I'm almost done." It doesn't like, those of us, we just, it's an honor. We got it in terms of the value of what we were doing. They taught us a lot, and we sort of get it reflected back. I would love to do that. I think it'd be a real honor to do that for the museum. And
and Taco, it's not just because we honored those. We all, as you found out at the symposium, we all do love each other. I mean, I can't stand any of the motherfuckers, but they all love each other. But both the projects and that the training was, the guys put so much. I mean, they put their blood, they put their heart, and you were asking me earlier, about the training. People don't realize, and I know some people in your audience will go, I have no idea what you're talking about. You're full of shit. Acting is, I mean, you're talking to a man who's done everything on this fucking world. And I've stood in front of that camera and I've had to know where my foot went, where my mouth was doing. Don't scratch my head. Don't do this. And deliver friggin' a shit pot of dialogue with somebody else looking at me. And if I fuck up, I'm fucking their performance up. Yeah. And it is not fucking easy. It is a very difficult. That's one thing. Like I when people ask me, I send them to Josh, because Josh puts on, he teaches, he does like I do. How do you keep from being a fucking kook? And I go, well, I help other kooks. And that keeps me from being as much of a kook. And so Josh, to make himself a better actor, he helps teach other actors and he pushes them, to that level that they need to do to try to succeed. And I tell everybody this, 80% of people that want to be a Marine become fucking Marines. 3% of people that want to work in the film business work in the film business, and that includes being an extra.
Yeah,
it's a very difficult job. So part of what we do is, if you take somebody like Josh that can deliver dialogue, like he could be, Shakespearean right now and Gaysperian 5 seconds later, because he can just fucking. I mean, he has that in his system. But then if I introduce him to something he's never seen before, like an M1 Grand or like equipment and this, all of a sudden becomes no experience. You know what I mean? Because all he now is thinking about is what the fuck is this? Where am I going? What am I, and then he's not delivering his dialogue, not hitting his thing. He's not remembering the depth of his facial expressions, because 99% of everything you do in acting comes from your eyes and your lips. That's what I always say. So he stopped to think about that. He stopped because what he's thinking about is this: what do I do with it? Because actors always got to be, what do I do with this? That's why you always, I know it pisses you off as a Marine. Well, here I am, a SWAT team. I'm going to the building, and right before I turn the corner, it's like, what the fuck? You'd already had that shit loaded. That's an actor that don't know what to do. I got to do something. I got this string thing in my hand. I got to make it like the audience is stupid. And it's not their fault. That's somebody's not there going, dude, you'd already been loaded. Don't sweat it. Just fucking look badass going around that corner.
I'll make you famous.
Exactly. and the good thing about all the training these guys went through is that by the time they went to camera, that everything they did militarily was secondhand nature.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't think about it. They just said, "Oh, I'm just fucking taking apart the 30, doing my dialogue, doing my thing, hitting over here."
What was the machine gun that Nate Cordry, was it the Browning, when it jammed and you taught him to use his foot, and in the middle of a take on F4 his weapon jammed, he stuck the butt on the ground and he went and he just.
Oh no, it was the M1.
It was the M1. Was the M1?
M1 Grand. He couldn't get the jam, and he just slammed it on the ground, and he still couldn't get it. And I just said, "Take your foot and kick it." And he kicked it,
and then went.
Yeah,
we learned that stuff.
I was taking shit off that Webbing or whoever, it's like Haldane's got to wear this. I'm like, this doesn't fucking work.
Yeah.
For what I'm doing right now, and I'm not gonna what do I have these fucking binoculars and I'm doing like just no, it didn't work. But it was all second nature, and that having that all the time just so invaluable. But we never really thought about it when we were doing it. It was just.
Well, you guys remember when new guys would come on set that didn't go through training and stuff, and they come out with their shit all right. Everybody's like, wait till he hits the ground. That canteen's going to fuck his leg up.
Yeah. And then we'd have to unfuck him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we would pull guys aside and we'd be like, hey, man. And I remember there was one guy on Guadal. He wasn't in Guadalcanal. He wasn't in any boot camp. He had a couple lines. He was like a communications guy. And he came in with just a lot of ego. And Seda and I pulled him aside and we're like, hey, man, and badge. This is not how we do things here. It was really, look, I appreciate what you said, Freddie Joe, because you know it better than most. Being an actor you're a union guy. You're a blue collar union guy. You get famous, then people know who you are, and it changes the game. But we're lunch pail guys when it comes down to it, and that was sort of how we approached the job. And it's also why it was one of the few sets that I've made real lifelong friends, because nobody was trying to big dog each other.
I was the big dog. Fuck you guys.
You were the ugliest dog. That is damn sure.
Yeah, baby, devil dog.
Oh, I forgot to ask Basilone or John. We had the Medal of Honor. That prop, where did they get that from? Do you know, Freddie Joe? I mean,
No, I will tell you this. The same guys, most of the same people you see on Band of Brothers is kind of the same you see in the Pacific, and they're the best in the world, man.
In the world.
Stuff.
In the world. They're just like we were talking about Meg Lieberman, the greatest in the world.
Yep.
The props, we had the same special effects. Some of the great Australians, the Sparks were there with all the Spark. They did all the webbing, and that shit was legit. I mean, they would come up saying, "Hey, look, we got 2 stitches around this," and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's cool." Like, and I'm like, "Wait, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about," but he was fucking. They made sure that every fucking detail was as good as it can get. In fact, most of the small fights in production and stuff were over the dumbest fucking thing. Well, that cover didn't come in till July 31st, and we're filming this, July 17th. So, and I'm like,
who cares?
I'm like, I don't give a fuck. As long as he's putting it on right, who gives a shit?
Taco, I will say that Medal of Honor ceremony was one of the most nervous I've ever been in my life, because
we were supposed to do it, and
there was no rehearsal scheduled, and Toby Moore and I realized that we were both going to be leading companies through.
Really?
Yeah, we had to call Eyes Right and do the whole thing, and one thing you
a couple
learn,
hundred background.
yeah, and one thing you learn is that Marines, nobody marches like the Marines, right? Nobody does things with precision. And we talked to Freddie Joe, and
it didn't help. I showed him a video of the silent drill team.
You murdered me that day.
You're gonna be like this in 1 week.
One day. We learned that in one day.
Yeah, they killed it though.
We did it over and over and over again. And I will say probably one of the proudest moments I have of the entire shoot is after Basilone got his medal, and I called Eyes Right, and everybody hit, and everybody behind me was like, whoom, like Bunch and Garcia came running from the stands and like tackled me, and they were like, "You did that shit." That's a Marine. And I was like, all right, I'm done. I retire. I'm good. I've done it. I did something right. I'm done.
Hey, when legit calls legit, you must be legit.
Yeah,
that's how I felt. I'm not gonna lie. I will almost never call myself legit, but that day I felt like I'd done something proper.
Yeah.
Well, Dale would get like at least once, maybe twice, but to promote one of the background guys.
Mm-hmm.
So completely nothing to do with filming. It's like, all right, Skipper, we got to promote this guy. And I'm going, who the fuck is this guy? Like, I have no idea. And then I'm like, how do you promote a guy? So I get Bunch. I'm like, hey, Bunch, you just sign everything up. The captain will come over. But
because
Bunch didn't know. He never got promoted.
But Taco, those guys that Scotty's talking about, they cared.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Watching the Pacific together, I could point out that Shaw, like
that's Bitch Eyes.
That's Bitch Eyes. Like
that's Queenie.
There's Queenie. Like those guys cared. They came.
And the Japanese, the Japanese. I mean, they were incredible.
Did you guys get? I mean, the actors from Japan, or
no? Most of them were like. Of course, it's Australia. Most of them were they live there now.
Yeah.
And we brought Yataka, who is a very famous Japanese actor, very famous in Japan, and he's worked us, from Great Raid, a couple shows, and Yuki has done a couple shows with us, and he's a school teacher in Australia, and then they do all the shows, and the Japanese. I don't know if you guys remember the very first day, the first rehearsal, and we lined all the Japanese up and all you guys up. They fucking bawled. They were so proud to be a part of it, to represent that, because they've been westernized a little bit, so they understood, the atrocities and the horrifics of it. But I will say this: I've worked on, counting TV and stuff, 300, 400, 500 projects, TV shows, daily, whatever. And I've never seen more proud background performers in my life.
Did they go through a boot camp as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we heard them.
One of my things. I was going back and forth.
Yeah.
Getting them. We would hear them. And then a couple times, I remember one night.
They attacked the shit out of you guys.
They attacked the shit out of me. And listen, let's not forget, who caught the sniper? This guy right here on that sniper hunt. I shot that motherfucker.
Hey, always remember, Taco, blanks never miss.
That's right.
Blanks never miss.
You're dead. I got you. You're dead.
I'm telling you, Taco.
What's the famous thing I always say? Remember the thing I always say after we got in a firefight? This ain't fucking cowboys and Indians. Get the fuck back to what you're doing.
Yep. I literally shot him. Taco. I was like, I shot him. He's dead. Like a kid. I was like a kid.
Did he fall out of the tree for you, or just got to over?
No, I got him coming out of the bushes. We chased him out of a tree. We were moving 2 air-cooled machine guns together, having them talk, and then moving the guys behind. I mean, we were killing ourselves in the best way possible.
Look at that good training. We were having them talk. That's good
they were so good, but you didn't interact with them personally. Right, like there was that sort of separation.
Oh, in boot camp,
and
they didn't.
And then we met them after boot.
Yeah,
like it was just Like you
Oh, there's Iraqi-san. I just shot his ass. Iraqi-san, get down!
no, but you'd be doing a shot. It takes so long, like the airfield, and we're just getting from the beach to the airfield, and there's a couple of these, dead Japanese soldiers there, and these guys were just lying there, like literally for hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right, because it takes so long to shoot and everything like that, and they never complained. Never needed a Coke, never needed a tent, never, like, nothing. They were just like, okay, this is the greatest job I've had. And you could relate to it in the sense that you weren't communicating to them, but you had just so much respect for these guys.
Yeah, they were very proud people.
Yeah,
Very
they
proud.
were.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
How about when you guys were doing the battle scene at night when the Japanese attacked? With the flash going off, could you actually see? I mean, could you see anything?
We saw everything. Listen,
Yeah, but you got to remember when that was going to. You're talking about like Bloody Ridge and all that, right?
Yeah.
What you're seeing on camera, it's like, but the lighting, there's all kinds of lighting above, so the actors they're getting the flash, but it's not like it was pitch
They're not night
dark.
vision gone.
If that was
No.
pitch dark, they'd all been blind as shit. But,
well, we were
you got to be able to see what's happening.
Yeah, I will have to say that when Bloody Ridge started and that first wave of and we knew that, we've rehearsed it, kind of walked through it, but all of a sudden, like 200 guys come out of the jungle with samurai swords and machine guns, and there's a Nambu going off over here. You didn't have to act. And it was you felt that fear of, oh shit. You felt just, 1/100th of what those Marines must have felt with their actual lives on line. And then they would tell you after that, okay, so Morgan, you shoot here, then him, then there. And you would get up and you'd open up with your Springfield, you switch to your 45, and they would drop and there'd be explosions of blood. And so it felt,
real. Put your mind in it.
I don't think, Freddie, I don't know if you were working on the airfield unit part, but when we did that,
Of course, I worked on everything on that fucking.
Yeah, he did.
All right. No,
don't shortchange the man. He'll come after you.
Don't shortchange. There were 400 extras. 400.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the eye could see, like that airfield, just the way it was built and everything was constructed was just absolutely insane.
It was awesome.
The biggest set I've ever seen, and all the explosions and everything, and how it was all set up.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought in like extra like it was just, it's mind.
I had to train them all. Every one of those background performers went through 1 day of training.
Just
everyone.
Yeah.
One full day of training, just because I wouldn't let them have any weapons or do anything until I was comfortable with them, because
in there.
Yeah. My favorite thing about the airfield, I don't remember, it was nighttime and all the fires were going.
Yeah.
We're all sitting there, and a kangaroo went in between the fire and the building. It looked like Godzilla. What the fuck? Everybody said it looked like a dinosaur was coming at us.
It was filming on me when I was talking to Sledge. This war, our war, and the fucking kangaroo just like,
like a 40-foot kangaroo was in behind them. The Japanese jumped up, Godzilla,
and everyone's laughing, and I'm trying to be like, Sledge, and I'm going, what the fuck? It was a kangaroo.
That's great, man. Well, do you give the Japs all operating weapons? They have bolt
No,
action,
we gave the Japanese, you racist prick. Yes.
Freddie Joe coming with the politically correct.
You're too Hollywood now, Freddie Joe.
No, I'm not.
In the world.
You don't.
Man, I tell you what, when we were
you don't even want to know what I called them. But they got all weapons training, everything.
Yeah, they had they had Nambus that were firing blanks that were operational, and it was
they were in the same amount of boot camp as the U.S. troops.
Yeah, those guys knew how to fire those knee mortars and stuff.
With the Japanese and stuff, the Japanese was a little bit a different. We trained them, and then when the big background days come in, we would send them to train them.
Oh, okay.
And the difference between them training the background performers and our guys, they were fucking brutal, bro. I'd go over there and they'd have swords to their necks and shit. I'm like, hey. And they're like taking that shit serious.
You guys, how many accidental discharges did they have?
Not a lot. I mean, you're gonna have them regardless, but
yeah,
there. I mean, I could say maybe out of the whole year we were there, I could count on one hand the accidental discharges. The guys were fucking trained up. They were good.
Well, when you guys got done with the scene, did you have your weapons with you, or did you
they
clear
kept
it
them with
and give
them.
it to a guy?
No,
kept them. Wow.
Nope, they kept their shit and locked their shit on. The armors would come and just throw ammo at them, and be loading clips and fucking shit.
Here's some more. Now, did you guys have to clean your weapons? You all cleaned your weapons
in boot camp, not
in boot.
I will say that when we were shooting,
the guys would sit around cleaning their weapons.
We would sit around and clean our weapons. I never saw the inside. I didn't even realize I had a trailer. We stayed in our machine gun pit. We would move that heavy if we had to go to a different set. The armor would be like, we'll take it. We're like, no, we'll carry her. That's ours. And we that's what we did. We just sat there and stayed as best we could. A Marine platoon.
What's funny is when I went through OCS, 19 years old, I had a bunch of these prior enlisted guys like Freddie Joe in the hooch with me in the Quonset, and the guy looked at me. We were going out on our first operation, and he goes, "Hey, Taco, man, you ever fired a M16A1?" I'm like, "No," but that's what we had, the A1. He goes, "You ever shot one?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "These things are great. Here, I tell you what. Here, you want some of my magazines?" When we go out there, you go full auto. So I'm going full auto out in Quantico, and I'm shooting every magazine, and guys are coming up going, "Here, shoot mine. You want some more?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!" Until I had to go back and clean the son of a bitch, and theirs is clean because they gave me all their ammo. I'm like, got it, man. Blanks are dirty. That was a dirty trick. I learned my lesson after that. Now, that's why I wondered why you're walking around on patrol and you look, and there are blanks everywhere, unfired blanks on the ground everywhere, because nobody wanted to clean their weapons. So they're going, toot, 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 toot.
But you just never, like, you wouldn't leave your rifle on the deck, like leave it on the floor or any, like you just, you're so trained. And that 45 that I had, that I never fired in the show, that Haldane would have fired like many, many times, particularly in Cape Gloucester. But one of the last times that I had it, because the armor, Tommy, he would come up and he would give me the 45, and he'd take it out of his case, give it to me. Okay. And then the last time I filmed with it, that didn't happen. And I was so like panicked that I didn't give Tom the fucking 45, that I told the AD, I said, "Look, you have to call me and let me know that Tom has this, because I just am so connected to it," kind of thing. Yeah. And that's
into custody, sure.
Yeah, but the respect we had for it, and not just, "Oh, I'm going to leave my M1 or my carbine or my Tommy on a fucking table and whatever." It's not going to be on the deck. It's going to be like if you were actually that guy that had it all the time, and that respect for it, right?
Freddie Joe's walking around stealing all your guns, all your weapons.
Oh, man, yeah, I love stealing weapons.
Oh, hey, how are you, darling?
She's saying, "Here."
Is he?
Hold on. We're talking to you. You know, the whole world's seeing you. Hold on. I got an earpiece in.
The whole world.
Say hi. You're waving. See him?
Is he?
How are you?
Right there. That one on the bottom.
Hey, is he?
Wave at him.
She's so shy. How can she be your daughter?
No, she's shy for the first 2 seconds.
Yeah. And then hey, Izzy, gonna make you famous. Come here, get on my lap. I'll make you famous.
Tell him you're making me famous, huh, buddy? No.
Yeah. We love your dad. If you can hear that, we love your dad. He's a good man. Takes good care of us.
We kind of like him.
She can hear you. Say bye, everybody. Bye.
All right. Bye, sweetheart.
Here you go, buddy. Hey, go play with your chinchilla, right?
What about my hamster?
Well, it's too tall. I'll get your hamster out when I'm done. Hey,
Taco, no one's got any questions.
Go away.
You know,
Gotta go.
I had just one statement here from Diana. So sad that so many of our soldiers know so little about what happened in the Pacific. More needs to be put out there. The horrors of the war, like Bataan, ships Japanese took Red Cross off that contained POWs. Yeah. Yep, I agree. You know, nothing like living in Japan for a year in Okinawa and then flying all around. We would do battlefield studies. Iwo Jima was my specialty. And so we would fly the squadron over there and we would take 300 Marines on a battlefield tour of Iwo Jima and talk about all the different positions and this and that. Okinawa was just incredible because my boss, his dad was on Okinawa. Wow. And then Korea and then Vietnam and then retired. But great story about his dad. His dad made it through Okinawa. He's over in Korea now. He's a platoon sergeant. You'll love this, Freddie Joe. The intel guys come up and go, "Hey, see that farmer out there? Yeah, that farmer, the Korean farmer. He's spying on us. Every time he took his ox and he plowed up to the friendly lines, he'd wave, but he was marking all the foxholes. And then at night he'd go tell the Chinese. The Chinese start dropping mortars right, accurately into the foxhole. So they go, take that guy out." So he goes over to his sniper and he says, "Hey, see that farmer out there? Yeah, take him out." "All right, Sarge." And so he grabs his roll and he lays it down and he's laying there with his rifle and he gets called away and he doesn't hear the rifle shoot. He comes back at lunch. The guy's still laying there and he's like, "What a gold bricker, man." And he's just about to go over there and wire brush the guy. And he gets called back for something else. So he goes back to the tent. He comes back. It's the end of the day. And the farmer's out there taking the harness off his ox. And he comes up and kicks him in the ass. And he goes, "I thought I told you to shoot that son of a bitch." And the guy just goes, takes the safety off, drops him. He turned around, looked up at him and goes, "I just wanted that son of a bitch to die tired." He let him plow all day. Then he shot him. He goes, "I lost so much sleep over that guy over the mortars. I just wanted him to die tired."
Oh, wow.
That's Marines for you, man. Not Marine member, but
Sure
Marines. If if anybody has any questions, if you guys have some questions, feel free to pop them up. If not, we'll drop these guys off and let them get on with their lives. But
my grandfather got his third Purple Heart on Okinawa.
Oh, did he? Was he Army or Marines?
Army. He got 2 in Europe, and then he came back, got sent to Japan towards the end, and got his third Purple Heart.
Wow.
Yeah. The good thing about my grandfather, he's not the guy you wanted to stand next to. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That is the
lot
ultimate
about you. You can't die either.
sponge.
Just couldn't get enough. Just couldn't get enough.
Yeah.
Is that where you got the nickname Bullet Sponge?
No.
That story remains untold.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't want to post those on here. Oh God. Hey, listen, guys. If you just hold on 1 second, I'll drop you down, and then I'll say goodnight. And if you hold on 1 minute, Josh, I've got something for you that I give all these guys. All right. You have any saved rounds? Any saved rounds you want to say? Projects you're working on, Josh?
I just worked on a TV show called Leverage down in New Orleans.
Love it.
Yeah, so I just shot an episode. I think the season's going to start airing in about a month, and and then back on the grind. That's what we do.
Were you just in New Orleans while we were down there filming? Because I know they were filming while we were there.
They film there constantly. I don't know if we were there at the same time. I was there.
No, it's just this last weekend.
Oh yeah. No, I was there. I was there a little bit before that, and
cool.
And now I'm just preparing for my brother's wedding, which is like a job in and of itself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you good brother, man. How about you, Scott? You got something coming up over in Europe, maybe?
Yeah, the Western called Lone Creek, and it's because of like being over in Normandy and meeting with some of these band guys that are doing this movie, and some other amazing British actors. So it's just like a matter of kicking up the funding, but apparently it's going to go, or they're trying to go early January, February.
Nice.
And yeah, that'd be fantastic. I don't know. I gotta get Freddie Joe out there to like train me on a horse. You know what I'm saying?
So you want it to be good, is what you're saying. All right.
Yeah, you know, Julie was with us down there in New Orleans, and she asked how each character and actor, you know, eventually left the series if they died. Well, Morgan, you survived, so you made it all the way through, I guess.
Well, you know, I'll tell you, because I left after episode 3 when I said goodbye to Basilone at the airfield, and it was hard. Coming back to the States was really hard. And then Tom Budge, who was in 2-1, he came back. He came to LA and he stayed with me, and we realized that we had to say goodbye to our characters, and it was and not to sound all like, you know, woo-woo about it, but it was a process. And then when Jon Seda came home, I'll never forget it. He got home, and I was doing a play here. I was doing Mice and Men. And he came to see it, and he was like, "I'm having a really hard time being home." And I said to him, "You know, man, you got to say goodbye to Basilone." And he stopped. I still remember where we were standing in Pasadena, and he went, "I got to say goodbye to him." And it was heartbreaking because we felt so honored, it felt so important, so attached, you know. And that's why, like, even in this day, that thing about the crawl at the end of the Pacific, like, it bothered me because Morgan's story getting bookended meant something to me, you know. I mean, I still have my dog tags, and sometimes when I have like a big audition or a big job that's important to me, I'll wear them, and
that's cool.
And I'll take them with me. It's just one of those things, you know. I don't know if it's Scotty, but
look, I talked to Freddie about this, and I told him about what I felt before he told me about John just having this weird kind of. It's weird to say PTSD, right? Because you're not a veteran or anything like that. You didn't go through it. I mean, but just leaving that and feeling that, and then all these other people equating you with just this massive hero in the Marine Corps. And I think John felt the same in the sense that you're just like, I don't feel worthy of that, you know?
Yeah.
So it really left you with this kind of guilt, I guess, which is maybe best way to describe it, but it took a long time in terms of figuring that out, just because you were just so invested in that role and everything that went on, and then that person, and honoring them, and then afterwards people are going, you know, saying to you like how great you did, his family, like Haldane's family, like Steve Moore was telling me, when we look at you, we think of Haldane, and you're just
that's cool.
It's hard. Yeah. It's just really hard to equate all that. I don't mean to sound like a fancy pantsy actor or anything like that, but
no, you guys did a great job, and that's the bottom line. It's a TV show, but you all.
It was kind of like
such an awesome job.
Kind of like Rick Gomez. You remember Rick Gomez with Lutz Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And at the symposium, and they were introducing themselves, and this it was his son, right? And he introduced himself as his son, and he didn't know where to go. And Rick Gomez looked at him and said, "Junior, I'm your dad. I'm senior." And it was just and I could see in that moment his dad will live on forever because of him.
Right.
You know, and a lot of times I know it doesn't bother you guys, but it really hits at home. You'll be walking to the airport or going somewhere, and somebody will say, "Hey, Morgan."
Yep.
Or somebody will say, "Haldane," not, you know, Josh Bitton or Cum Junkie or Dick Licker or whatever the fuck you go by now. You know, they don't say that. They say your character name, and that I told you guys when we were doing it, this is going to live with you for the rest of your lives.
Yeah.
And the only good thing about it is the name you portrayed will live with our youth for the rest of their lives, and that's the most important of it all.
Yeah. Amen. Amen to that.
Hey, Freddie Joe, get it straight. It's Captain Dick Licker,
sir. Well,
okay?
when he makes me mad, he's Cum Junkie, you know. But
gentlemen,
I'm teasing.
I have to jump off. I actually have to get to do some teaching myself.
That's
hey,
it, man.
Taco, it's been a real pleasure, man. And if you want to do that down in Arlington, I would 100% be part of it and try to help get some of the guys down there.
Man, would love that. Listen, you've got my email that he forwarded over.
Yep.
Shoot me a deal. It'll be secret, no foreign. Don't worry about it. And
Not worried.
I'll keep you updated.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
Hey, lunch, Josh, sometime. Let's go.
When you in town?
I'm in town now, bitch.
Okay, let's do it on Friday.
All right, I'll be down there.
All right.
All right, love you.
No, you guys sit there and bitch on each other all the time, and you're so mean, man. Freddie
Who?
Joe, you're just a mean man. You're an angry man.
Oh, you're an officer. Fuck off.
I gotta take care of my fellow skipper.
You don't get it.
Freddie just has so much respect for me as a person
I do.
that he can't deal with it. You know, he's got to deflect and call me names. I understand.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's nothing greater in life than something that you've earned. And I could be your friend because you're a fucking shitty actor, or I could be your friend because you're an awesome person. So every day you got to earn that.
Yeah.
No, we earned it. I mean, but that's the thing is we earned it, and
Absolutely.
watching that symposium and seeing, Mitch offered to fly me. He's like, "Oh, dude, come, I'll get you on a buddy pass." And my best friend here passed away, and his funeral was Friday. And
Sorry about that.
thank you, sir. But I watched that and seeing all those people like Meg and Amy and Jen and Tony and Josh, just like Graham and everybody, and I'm just like, that's my family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's there's nothing else. There's no other gig. I don't care how famous you are or whatever. There is nothing like Band in the Pacific in that realm, because of the people involved in it and that doubled over and the actors. Like, it's just so singular that it's just so special.
I tell you what, you guys, get this Days of Steel Rain. Read this. Is
that the guest you had on last week?
Yeah. This book is Band of Brothers, but Navy version, USS Astoria, light cruiser in World War II. I mean, he wrote an ensemble piece, so it's like you guys, the Pacific or Band of Brothers. It's really a great. That should be the next. Man, you ought to get a role in that too.
Who, me?
Freddie?
Both of you. Freddie could be the admiral.
I could be
Admiral Halsey.
I could be the fat sailor that eat the olive out of it, going past the fucking equator, getting their shell back.
Getting the shell back. That'd be me too.
Get old fat squid in there. Come on,
man. Hey, man. Look, I just want to say about Freddie, and I could call this man anytime, anywhere in the world. Like, the guy is just so legit and real and helped us so much. And, I've said it many times, but it just, nothing would have been the same on that show without him, the cadre, and he's such a fucking good guy. I appreciate, love you, brother.
Love you too.
Well.
Hey, Taco got a little piece of shit this last weekend, though. He was the one I got to pick on at the time.
He what?
I got to pick on Taco all this last weekend at the symposium.
What are you talking about? You weren't even around. You're like at the VIP dinner. We're hanging with your better half, man.
Oh,
Sarah's
you
cool.
were going out there doing your thing. You guys come over and play. I
tell you what, that was a lot of fun this weekend. And as I told Scott, we got to do one for all of the Marine side of the HBO series and see if we can't get that going. So
absolutely,
3 years is the 15th anniversary, right?
2.
Is it 2010, 2? Right?
It got released 2000. Was it 2010?
2000. Yeah, we finished filming 2008, but and it came out. So
when 2.5 years,
When we do our just anniversary, it's based on boot camp, but when it came out, it's like 2010.
Well, as long as we don't have COVID-15 or something there. Yeah. 2000. Oh, Sarah says 2011.
Oh, don't listen to her. 2010. Tell her to go back and put her hair up.
Hey, man, her hair looks good when she does that little boof, the 60s style.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was good.
4 hours, anybody can look good.
Way above your pay grade. Way above your pay grade, Freddie Joe.
Freddie doesn't hold back on anybody.
Hey, guys, listen, thank you so much for joining me. Seriously, 100 shows. When I told somebody, yeah, I got a podcast. And he goes, what do you have, 5 podcasts? And I'm like, no, actually, I'm coming up on my 100th episode. And the guy's like, you've been doing this for 100 times? I'm like, yeah. It gives me something to look forward to on Tuesdays. Mm-hmm. And then if I can't make a Tuesday, I pre-tape it and throw it on. But meeting all the people that I've met and talked to in the last 2 years has been phenomenal. But you guys, in the lighthearted portion of everything that I've ever done, it's been so much fun having you two on here with the banter, because it is like hanging out with a bunch of Marines, Mm. And I know, like, Desi Rosado here. Desi and I went to the basic school together and flight school. And it's funny. Desi walks up to me. I'm flying Christmas Eve to Costa Rica. And he walks up to me and he goes, hey, Taco. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, it's been years, right? So I can't place him. I'm like, East Coast, West Coast, what? And he's like, me, Desi, man, from TBS flight school. Oh my God, it's been eons, but he ended up getting airsick all the time. And so he went out of flight school to communications. And then he went to this little small company when he got out of the Marine Corps called Qualcomm. Mm-hmm. And I think when he sold
it's kind of small.
Kind of small company. And when he sold his shares and invested his stuff, he bought a hotel down in Key Cocker down in Belize, where his family's from. And so
so what you're saying is he wants to invest in our next movie. I like it.
I think he's listening right now. Desi, you've got the power players. You need to help. We'll find some sponsors for all of us, Desi, including you, to go fly over to Guadalcanal. What do you think about that? Maybe we get Ross Perot Jr. to jump on this, because they did take they took RV Bergen and a bunch of people back. Maybe we can figure this one out. I'll get with this.
That'd be insane, and that this hopefully this biography about Andy Haldane will be coming out in the next year. Garrett Chachowski's written this biography about him, and
good.
Hell of a story. His whole life, it's just incredible.
Well, I'll tell you what, when that comes out, how about we do a show with the two of you, the book, and we talk about Andy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That'll be show 125, I hope. 150. All right, gents. Well, listen, I can't thank you enough. You guys have a great night. Give Sarah a hug when you see her next time there, Freddie Joe. Scott, you've got to come down here to see your brother. We've got to get together.
Yes.
I've seen Freddie Joe here twice just in the last 6 months. We got to get you down here.
Yeah, you're being a buddy fucker, dude.
He's a slack. Doesn't really have anything to do.
No, I'm just raising kids and shit.
Scott's Canadian, man. He doesn't leave the house without a mask.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. We promise if you come to Europe, we'll pay people to recognize you. Please come. I heard that was a fun trip, though.
No, amazing. And Taco, cheers, man. It was number 100, and I can't thank you enough. And to you Marine, Freddie Marine, me actor. It's a real.
We'll make you honorary Marine there, man. How about that? As I told you at the funeral, you're one of the few times in a movie where the officer, very few times, where the officer was portrayed where he was a great officer. And it drives me nuts to see a guy, the bumbling second lieutenant, or the incompetent captain or something. It's refreshing to see the Marine Corps in that light. And so, yeah, that was great. You did a good job.
Thank you.
You weren't Lieutenant Dykes. I saw that guy. What's that actor's name? And I said, you did a great job.
He did, yeah. He played Dykes.
I go, you did a great job, because I absolutely hate you.
Nice.
To this day, I hate you. And he kind of looked at me and he smiled. I go, that means you did a good job, because as an officer, I would have throttled you and killed you,
Yeah.
if you're one of my guys. Oh my
Yeah.
God. So he did. He did a good job. That's what you guys get paid the big bucks for, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, Lieutenant Dyke.
Just Freddie. He's got a bigger paycheck than me.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, how was that per diem down there in Australia, Freddie?
it was good. It was a lot too.
You should have seen this dude's place in Melbourne. It was fucking off the hook.
I told you.
By the water, like huge. He had this party, like huge balcony, and like I'm going, what the fuck is this guy making?
I gotta fire my agent.
Yeah. He should have done your contract. Where were you? In the shanty down the road? What would they have?
Yeah,
you,
it was insane. One of the last
Hojo?
nights, I think my last night there, second last night, I went over to Freddie's to hang out. So
Yeah.
a couple of K335 guys, but I went over to hang out with Freddie and Garcia.
Yeah, it was nice. It was a nice place.
Yeah.
We forgot to tell John. He needs to buy a metal detector and go over there in the jungle and just start sweeping and see if he finds any spent rounds from the show.
He
That'd be
might
cool.
he might find my testicles somewhere.
Yeah, well, where he's filming in the Yu-Yangs, I believe, and
It's huge.
It's a huge place, and that's actually where the Marines trained before they started going to do the island hopping campaign. So he might find more than just our shit off the set.
Yeah.
That's got to be probably one of the biggest sets you've ever been on, right? Like it was massive.
Yeah, just the acreage of it,
Yeah.
It was. I mean, they were building like the airfield and Guadalcanal and Iwo Jima all at the same time, So
Yeah, tell me about Iwo Jima. That was fascinating. How they built the beachhead.
Yeah, they just brought in like, 1 billion tons of black sand and just built it.
But Connex boxes and buried.
With the Iwo Jima, they didn't use the Connex box. That was more of Okinawa. They stacked the Connex boxes up,
okay.
and then just they brought some real rock in and stuff. That's also where Haldane was at, where he did his stuff. And then they just built fake rocks around and just made it look like it, because where we were at is completely flat.
Yeah,
all those mountains was completely flat, and they came in and built mountains. And Iwo Jima, they just came in with train loads of black sand and just mounted it up to where it was like they were going up the beach on this, and it was crazy.
Peleliu, those hills, and where Hillbilly gets hit, and then going up, you see Haldane go up, and they just built all that, everything. Everything they fucking built, like it was insane.
Yeah. And the same thing in that on the other side is where Okinawa was. So they
Okinawa,
built on this side where that is, and then you go on the other side, it's a whole different island. It's pretty crazy.
Could you guys go visit different sets? I mean, were you allowed to?
I was going back and forth to all of them.
You were, yeah.
Freddie did. I was working. I didn't have time to fucking cruise around.
I was working all the cruise center.
Well, how about on day off, Scott? Were you able to go back and watch any of the filming or check anything out? See how things are going?
I mean, you know what? You always wanted to be there, but you so invested in what you were doing. Yeah, I just always wanted to be there. I didn't like being at the hotel. I didn't.
What he was saying, he'd be at the casino on his days off. He wasn't going.
I would, yeah. You live right near the casino.
Yeah, I could see the Conrad right from my huge balcony.
Huge balcony.
Out of my penthouse. It was so bad that Tony Toe came in and said, "How fucking much am I paying you?" I said, "I don't know, but it's enough, brother. It's enough."
How did you scout that out and find that place, man?
This balcony was like a floor of like, it was just like, holy shit, dude. This thing.
Well, he's a sergeant. Sergeant's underhanded. They all get that shit done. They know the right people to contact.
Yeah.
Probably went to the officer and said,
I was very,
"Hey, man, do you guys know any good places?"
I was very privileged to go, and like I say, when I left, Freddie was one of the last guys I wanted to see and hang out with.
Yep,
that's cool.
It was awesome.
All right, so we got 2 things to work on: Guadalcanal trip
And
and
Guatemala.
reunion.
Guatemala.
I'll fly you to Guatemala City, man. That's no big deal. You want a buddy pass? Come on over. I'll take you down
No,
there.
man, I got the
I know a
clap
great
last time I
steak
was there.
restaurant.
I'm not going back.
I thought that was the Philippines.
Hey, I got that too. I got it twice there.
Oh, Sarah, we apologize.
Easy.
He's a honey badger, man. He don't care. Honey badgers don't give a shit.
Honey badger
don't. Look at the honey badger. He's hungry. Oh, look, kill that snake. Honey badger don't care. All right, guys.
All right, get out of here, Taco, before your battery dies.
No, battery died, man. Bladder's dying. I'll definitely talk to you guys soon. All right.
All right, love you guys. Love you, Scott.
Love you, man.
See you,
Hoorah.
Taco.
Love you, brother.
Bye.
See you, man. Semper Fi out here.
Cheers.
Guys, thanks so much. Those that stuck around an hour and 50 minutes, my 100th episode. Can't thank you guys enough for spending the time with us. A lot of fun. I have about maybe 6 or 7 really interesting people coming up. So stick around. Chris Cassidy, who was a former Navy SEAL and then became an astronaut. Now he's president of the Medal of Honor Museum. He's going to come on. I've got some just other fantastic lineup. Come join me. Hit like, share, subscribe, send it to your friends, and let them know Tall Tales with Taco if you just want to hang out and hear a bunch of people banter back and forth and maybe learn something on the side. Until I see you guys again next week, adios, hasta luego, a wiedersehen, tschüss, shesheni, au revoir, dominigato gozaimasu, tano shinde kudasai, ciao, arrivederci, tashikor, assalamu alaikum, salam, mahala, Nastorovia, das vidanya, and dovi bejenia. I'll see you guys. Take care.